Hello, my loves. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Dustina. This is Spiritually Bougie Astrology. We're going to take a look at the astrological transits of November 13th through November 19th. However, before we get too deep into the look ahead or the recap of the previous week, just a quick little reminder that I am doing a special on all of my natal chart readings throughout the month of November. Now, this special is running in tiers. That means there are levels. The first tier is a basic natal chart reading. I will go over your big three, why your ascendant is important, why we need that birth time that everybody gets all harped about. The themes of this year based off of your age, as well as the nodes and what they are activating for you at this time. My basic natal chart readings are $25. However, sometimes people need a little bit more finesse, any more one-on-one time. They need to be able to ask some questions and get some answers. And for the second tier of my special, on top of the pre-recorded session, because your birth chart reading is completely pre-recorded, it is audio and it is visual. You'll be able to view it as many times as you need to. However, whenever it's time for that Q&A and the questioning time, then there is going to be a one-on-one that we can set up on Zoom. If you want the natal chart reading, it is $25. If you're wanting a natal chart reading and time with me one-on-one, then that is going to be $50. Now, we all have somebody in our life that we know that they want this natal chart reading, but they're not ready to pull the trigger, or you want to have it for them and they're not necessarily in the know that this is what you're thinking. I am also doing gift certificates for people that want to lock in natal chart readings at that price. However, your reading has to be purchased in the month of November. Once we get to December 1st, my normal prices are going to go back into effect. So again, my special is specific to the month of November. Okay. If you've already been messaging with me and this week, I went radio silent on you in the middle of the messaging, I really do apologize. I'll cover parts of this as we continue throughout the forecast of this week. But I've had migraines this last week. And literally I was down like Tuesday and Wednesday, started to feel like a person again Thursday going into Friday, but then I went and did the Veterans Day parade and I went right back downhill. By the time I got home Friday afternoon from the Veterans Parade, because our parade was on Friday here in Tulsa, by the time I got home Friday afternoon, it was too much energy, too much activity, too many smells. Stop bathing in perfume, people. I don't know. Some of us are allergic to it. Some of us are allergic to perfume. But too many smells, too much light and everything else. And then I got home Friday afternoon and I've basically been in bed for the last 48 hours. So at the time that I am recording this week ahead forecast, it is Sunday afternoon, because again, I am just now starting to feel like a person again. But if you were messaging me earlier this week and I went radio silent on you because I had migraines, sorry guys, I had migraines. So it is what it is. I'll be returning everybody's messages and getting everybody set up on their next part of their readings and everything else as this week continues, because I don't have any more physical activity things that will take me out and about in that much of a regard. Anyways, we got a lot of energy going on. We had a lot of energy tied to the weekend. Some of us, it was an arrival. We arrived somewhere. We were on an adventure, we're doing a trip, we've got a lot of excitement, we had a lot of things going on, there was a lot of exciting activity. And some of us had a really good weekend. However, some of us had some chaos and we had some disruptions. We unexpectedly, Uranus, caught somebody in an action, Mars. On Saturday, we had the exact Mars-Uranus opposition. And if you listen to last week's forecast and we went all the way to the end, I said, like, whatever happens on Friday feels a lot more mental, a lot more intellectual, a lot more conversational, a lot more camaraderie. Like, there was just a lot of busyness, but it was a lot of communicative busyness to Friday. However, to Saturday, that's when some of the more heavy activations happen. Part of that was because of the way the moon flowed through the last part of Libra, going from Friday into Saturday. We had some internal things that got activated in that overnight hour that was very likely to manifest in some physical way, some actual event as we got into Saturday. Now, if your Mars-Uranus opposition played out a little bit more on Sunday, I said that energy on Sunday was a little bit more hopeful. It's a little bit more helpful, a little bit more respectable. There's a lot more of a strengthening in that energy, and that's because on Sunday, so again, the day that I'm recording, not only is Uranus within a degree in its opposition with Mars, but it's also within a degree of its opposition to the Sun. So we had some helpfulness. We've had some hopefulness. We've had some other things that are going on as we roll from this weekend into Monday. Now, whether you had a fun amount of excitement going on over the weekend and we roll into Monday, a lot of Monday is going to be like the next layer to things that have already occurred, only because of how rapid we go from the Mars opposition to Uranus to the Sun's opposition to Uranus, because that's basically how we're starting the week. We have a new moon in an opposition to Uranus, and then as the day perfects, the Sun will actually hit its opposition. Now, there are a couple of energies that as this week progresses that have been slowly building, that they will start to finally peak this week. The first of those is actually the Venus-Mercury sextile. Last week, whenever Venus and Mercury both went to change signs, they both kind of entered a sextile. And they've been building towards something that is going to reach a point this week. Now, their energy is not heavy. It's actually meant to be proactive. It's meant to be helpful. It's going to give us a bit of mental certainty. There's going to be some very helpful energy that's going to play out with that one. But given the way it's perfecting during all the other hot mess energy tied to the Sun-Mars conjunction and it's trine to Neptune, we also recognize very quickly as we go into this week that we are in a moment of going into uncharted territory. I've said this since the November forecast, the full month ahead forecast. As we get into this middle part of November, there are parts of the energy that is meant to be unveiled in the moment. You can't always plan for everything as we move into it. This is one of those weeks that until things completely reveal themselves, until certain things completely come to light, I'm blocked. I'm energetically blocked. There's certain parts of the transits of this month that I just know they have to unfold in a natural way for me to be able to understand what follows afterwards, because there's a big portion of where we're going this week and next week that intuitively I'm blocked. That means even I'm supposed to be surprised. So there's that. Oh, we've got a lot of things that are going to come to the surface. And between starting the week in a new moon, now, and this new moon is the one that actually ends eclipse season, but with all the other transits at play, it feels just as powerful as an eclipse. And the fact that we will end this week basically in the Mars rebirth, a lot of the energy that starts to reveal itself, unfold, come to light, come to the surface throughout this week, it's giving us an inkling, it's giving us direction, it's giving us an idea of where things are going to take us in the next two eclipse seasons as we get into 2024. Now, I've been saying this since July. We are not going to understand the full gains of this eclipse axis of the North Node in Aries and the South Node in Libra. We will not start to understand the full gains until after the Mars rebirth. This week is the Mars rebirth. And in the Mars rebirth, we're having this happen in a Mars-ruled sign. We're going to have things that are meant to come to light, that are meant to be revealed. Revelation. Now, there are layers to whenever I say revelation, because parts of what is going to be revealed is going to be a physical, actual event that is going on in life. It's an actual activity. For other people, it's not going to be anything physical going on in the world. It's going to be in the body, below the surface. It's going to be internal. Mars rules the head. Mars rules the blood. Mars rules your sexual organs. Mars was the god of war. Mars rules our desire. our determination, our drive. It's all Mars. The sun, it's associated with Leo. It rules the heart chakra and the heart. And I'm going to put this in the intro this time as opposed to just putting it into the deeper parts of the episode. I want people to understand that parts of what comes to light this week can be a physical revelation of something that is being found in the body, below the surface. Something that is coming to a boiling point in some way. Notice how I said boiling. The sun is hot. Mars is hot. Heated. Radiations of heat. Heated situations. Fiery situations. Whether that is a fiery conversation, heated debate, or a actual physical event of fiery situations, you can expect those things this week. We've already actually seen some elements of that over the weekend. Granted, I was in bed for a majority of the weekend, and I'm being honest about that, but parts of the time when I'm like looking at YouTube, I looked at the little preview windows of YouTube for the news. There was some stuff about the Senate and the House that I did not pay attention to. I didn't have enough energy for that. But I saw one little snippet of like there was a warehouse fire in LA that like completely shut down their highway system. And I said last week, whenever we were getting into parts of where we're going next, I'm like, look, it doesn't matter how much you plan ahead, there will be times and moments that as we get into certain parts of the energy, that whatever happens will be completely out of our control. And some of us, we dealt with situations that once they came to the surface over the weekend, or once they come to the surface this week that we're going into, because we're in a continuous flow of energy of things that have happened since Friday, basically. Late Thursday, mostly Friday. We're in a continuous flow of energy. There will be things that come to the surface this week that are not going to be expected. Part of that is because of the Uranus energy. The other part of that is going into the Neptunian energy and its influence as to how some of the transits are going to go. There will be parts of this week that will be blindsiding, but there will also be parts of this week that are very, very confusing, that have a weird effect. They affect us in a weird way. We see this thing that's coming out, but then there's like this confusion of like, oh, what does this mean over here? For some of us, it's not confusion at all. For some of us, it's going to be inspiration. Neptune will bring inspiration to the actions and the activities that are being recognized. The sun's conjunction to Mars, as much as it can be disruptive and chaotic, can be a recognition. If you have been working diligently on something for quite some time, you can be gaining attention, gaining light. There can be recognition in the energy this week. But it won't be just one moment or one day. It will be something that will be a continuous flow for quite some time. Okay. Expect revelations, things being revealed, like I said. Unearthed, deciphered, diagnosed, reorganized, decompressed, awarded, clarified, announced. There can be a lot of anxiety as this week progresses, as the sun gets closer to Mars, especially if you do not have a healthy place to put your energy. The closer the sun and Mars in their conjunction, the more active we are going to want to be. The bigger the vibration is going to be. And some of us are going to feel the heat. Feels like somebody's turning up the heat underneath us, and sitting still will not be easy. Sitting in one place, being lethargic on the couch, no. We're going to want to do certain things. However, some of us, as the sun and Mars get closer to a conjunction, we will feel certain things in the body. We will feel certain things turn up in the body. We will feel certain disruptions and vibrations through the body. Given that there's going to be a trine with Neptune, a lot of this can actually have to do with the immune system or the lymphatic system or the nervous system. Be very, very aware of whenever you're feeling something internally this week, because what could be a hot, heated moment can literally be activating something deep inside. Leo, the sun, heart chakra. Mars rules the head. Mars also rules the blood. You put these things together, that stuff starts to make me nervous. Mars also has rulership over your sexual organs. Your desire can be tied to Mars. Desires can come to surface. Our hopes, our dreams, our desires. We can be inspired to finally tell someone how we feel or tell someone our intention the closer we get to the Sun-Mars conjunction. It's a very interesting energy this week because for some people, it's going to be full of new motivations coming to light. For other people, it's going to be something that rocks the entire body, the entire nervous system. And for a few others, it's going to be seeing either pivotal moments within other people or chaotic moments within other people. But there's going to be a lot of vibration and a lot of energy as this week progresses. This week is meant to reveal a lot of things. A lot of our new ideas, our new desires, our new drives, our new purpose, our new ambitions. The Sun and Mars make a conjunction once every 2 years. We are ending a 2-year cycle, and I've been harping about that 2-year cycle for quite some time. I have been. This week, we end a 2-year cycle and start a new one going into next week. There are things that are meant to come to light, but the Sun and Mars having a conjunction in one of Mars' signs puts a lot more emphasis on the Mars side. And given the fact that our next eclipse season that we have will actually play out correctly, where we have both a Mars-ruled eclipse and a Venus-ruled eclipse, which we did not have in 2023. Our first eclipse season was completely Mars-ruled. Our second eclipse season was completely Venus-ruled. We did not have a counterbalance between them. Now that we're going through Mars's rebirth, the things that come to light this week are shedding light as to where we're going to have gains come later this year. Not this year, next year. Next year. Come 2024. Through the next 2 sets of eclipses. We had to purge certain things. We've been in the purge energy for quite some time. We had to purge and remove and release and let go of certain energies that did not vibe with where we're going next. What starts to reveal itself this week is literally where we're going next, what we're doing next, what's taking shape over the next 2 years. They all start to fall into place and start to reveal itself this week. This week. Let's take a look at the chart. Let's take a look at the chart at this week. We're on Monday. Monday is the new moon in Scorpio. Monday is officially the end of eclipse season. I am not going to harp a whole lot about the new moon in Scorpio because it's going to get its own episode. And whenever I go over that episode, I will talk about that new moon in a conjunction with the ascendants, but I will also talk about it in regards to that Mars rebirth energy. And I'll do more focus on it with the ascendants when I do that episode. So I'm not going to harp on it a whole lot, but this is how we start the week as a new moon. Now the new moon perfects at 3:26 a.m. Central Standard Time. Right now I have it at 4:30 a.m. The moon has just surpassed the new moon's energy, and it's actually in its opposition to Uranus, and it's right in between the sun and Mars. Like, this is a really interesting little hour. It is. We wake up Monday morning with a mission. Some of us will have an unexpected mission that comes through. We have something that needs to be looked at. We have some type of excitement going on. We have a lot of activity when it comes to Monday. Now, again, the new moon perfects at 3:26 a.m. Central Standard Time between 5 and 7:30 a.m. The moon will conjoin Mars in the sign of Scorpio. This can be an internal activation as much as an external activation. We can wake up very, very irritated, but we can also wake up feeling very, very driven and very, very motivated and feeling like we can finally get something accomplished in some way. Moon conjunct Mars. Some of us are going to wake up knowing we need to do something that we didn't even think of the day before. It's just an internal clicking motivation type energy. That's the moon's conjunction to Mars. Now, the one thing I will go ahead and harp on a little bit whenever it comes to Monday is the fact that after the new moon perfects, the sun will enter its opposition to Uranus. And this actually perfects right as the moon is hitting a trine to Neptune. That's interesting to me. Why? Because the Mars rebirth will also be in a trine to Neptune. The sun hitting its opposition to Uranus while this is all perfecting. It's all very, very concise. Whatever comes to light, whatever we find, whatever discovery is there, there is an unexpected effect. Moon trine Neptune. There's an effect. There is a nostalgia for some people with Neptune. There is a delusion because it's Neptune, delusion and illusion, but there can also be a misconception, a misinterpretation, a lie, a half-truth. Is it meaning to be a lie? Not necessarily. There can be something that fogs the moment. There can be a cloudiness. And it might take a few days before we can fully realize that there isn't something that's completely clear. But the sun's opposition to Uranus is meant to be something that's exciting. It's meant to have some type of unexpected energy. We're meant to have something that is not planned that comes to the surface on Monday. The sun's opposition to Uranus, it perfects early in the day. It goes the most exact between 11:03 a.m. and 11:26 a.m. Central Standard Time. And the moon's trine with Neptune goes the most exact between 10:30 and noon. So you can see we're at 11:30. We're right past its perfection. We can have some unexpected events that lead to inspiration, but we can have some unexpected findings that would explain an effect that hasn't fully made sense yet. It can explain some other type of energy that we've been waiting to understand for quite some time. We've been waiting for something to launch. It's like we've been in a stagnant energy for quite a while. But as this week progresses, we break out of some of the stagnancy. This feeds into that. There can be some anxiety with the sun's opposition to Uranus. So here are some of the keywords that I wrote down again. Anxious, excited, or excitable. A debuting, a revealing, findings, awakenings, epiphanies. Given the moon's trine with Neptune, epiphanies, inspiration type energy. Think. But we can also have that anxiousness. We can also have some overwhelm. We can feel some shock. We can feel a sudden flood of impatience of why is everything taking so long? We can feel impulsive and erratic, given that the moon is still really close to Mars. The sun is getting closer to Mars. Again, hot-headed. There can be some hot-headedness, some popping off at the mouth. Doesn't have to be so poppy. I don't feel like Monday is as poppy, so to speak, as some other things. I feel like it's more trying to get to the bottom of something. It's trying to understand what's been going on. It's trying to see something that's going on below the surface. It is trying to recognize. And there can be inklings of Monday, specifically in this noonish throughout the day time frame. So the late morning going into the afternoon. So this time frame that can give us inklings of some of the energy that's going to be stated by the end of the week. Because again, when the moon hits this trine to Neptune, this is going to be in the same aspect that the Mars rebirth is going to happen. So there are layers to Monday. There are layers to what's unfolding this week and the things that are coming to light, that are coming to the surface, that are starting to be revealed. Okay. As the day progresses, the moon is going to hit a sextile to Pluto. Now that's going to happen a little bit later, so that goes the most exact between 4 and 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. I've got it at 5:30 for those that are listening to audio only. At this moment, I've got the moon at 28 degrees, 24 minutes in a sextile. It is just past its sextile with Pluto at 28 degrees and 10 minutes. This right here is meant to be helpful. It's like talking about our fears, talking about trauma, talking about recent changes, talking about the things that we've overcome. It's talking about the weekend. Some of us got really triggered over the weekend, like I said before, so it's like working through some of those things. I don't mind the moon's the moon's sextile to Pluto. I don't feel like this is really heavy at all. I feel like this is actually meant to be helpful. We can have very proactive conversations, talking about how things have changed, talking about certain transformations, talking through certain things, working through our fears, and knowing that we're going to be dealing with some things in a very, very new way as the month progresses. Some of us know that whenever we get into the later parts of Monday. Some people, we don't have a clue. We're just getting like little synchronistic warnings from the universe of like, this is what we're going to do. This is going to come. This is happening, just so you know. Okay. Now, as the evening progresses, at 8:23 p.m. Central Standard Time, the moon is going to enter Sagittarius. So I've got it at 8:30 p.m. The moon's at 0 degrees and 3 minutes, and it is entering a square, 90-degree angles, to Saturn. When I was meditating on this one earlier, this moon square Saturn, this doesn't feel intense. I feel like it's almost like the next layer of something again from specifically Friday. For some people, it might be Thursday evening. For a lot of people, I feel like it's going to be Friday. And that's because how close the moon is to Mercury while it's in the square to Saturn. Many people arrived somewhere on Friday. They started talking about elders, about certain responsibilities. They put a plan of action. They know that they were starting something new, starting something over, starting something at a new level, doing something differently. And in some ways, if you did all of those plans on Friday, the likelihood that we started all of our new stuff last week, Friday, doesn't necessarily seem plausible because it was a Friday and it was going into a holiday weekend that, at least here in America, a lot of us celebrate, and that is, Veterans Day. So in some ways, I do feel like when the moon hits this square to Saturn, it's a reminder of, hey, we got something happening. So in some ways, we can be telling our elders, or we telling an authority figure about things that have just unfolded. You have that late night call with the boss going, okay, we really need to talk about this weekend. You weren't there, and I need to talk to you about something. That can be one part of it. But the other part of it feels more like a reminder. It's reminding our elders. It's reminding the boss. It's reminding the authority figure. It's reminding somebody of something. We need to talk about a responsibility. We need to talk about something that has been in the process of changing, of transforming. And for a lot of people, it's going to be a reminder. Oh, hey, we start that tomorrow. Oh, hey, don't forget they're coming to do that repair tomorrow. They're going to do something tomorrow. Because a good portion of the energy that we're dealing with on Monday does carry into Tuesday. And this kind of feels like it's in that carryover state. Now, the moon's square with Saturn goes the most exact between 8 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can see we're at 8:30. The square hasn't quite perfected yet. Closer to 9:30, it is perfected. So the most intense that you will feel that square is going to be in the later evening times, at least on the Central Time Zone. And then it kind of lays out for a little bit. Now, we start to get into Tuesday, so we're getting into the 14th. And again, we're going to have the Sun-Mars conjunction. It's building. Venus and Mercury in their sextile, it's building. It's not perfected yet. I'll put a little bit more emphasis on this here in just a minute. The only thing that's really going to go on Tuesday actually has to do with Venus and Mars. But the other thing that we still have going on is the Sun's opposition to Uranus. Now, it is separating. It will still be just as strong as we get into the early parts of Tuesday. So some of the things that come to light, that get revealed, that are a part of the energy, again, it's ongoing from events that have already occurred. Tuesday is a lot of carryover. So if you don't have a lot of things that are carrying over from Monday to Tuesday, then you have the ability to be really productive on Tuesday. That is if you can mentally focus. With Mercury and the moon in Sagittarius, some of us are going to struggle with focusing. It's just, I'm being honest now. Putting Mercury, our logical brain, and the moon, our emotional side of the brain, both in the sign of Jupiter, jovial Jupiter, some of us are going to be like really excited. We're going to be like the really excited little puppies. What do you want to do today, Spike? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? What, was that Bruce? It's a Looney Tunes reference. The little yellow dog that used to jump around the big bulldog on the Looney Tunes, the older Looney Tunes stuff, be like, what do you want to do? You want to go chase the cat? Come on, let's go chase the cat, Spike. Nah, you don't want to chase a cat. We're going to be a little excitable. We're going to be easily excitable. But on the flip side of that, some of us aren't excited. Some of us are going to be easily anxious, easily distracted, squirrel energy. Energetically, it's going to be hard to focus, but really, if we can put our energy, if we can gain control of ourselves and really focus our energy, we can be productive to Tuesday. Where we're going to struggle with production is going to be once the moon hits that conjunction to Mercury, because it is going to include a sextile from Venus. Now, the Mercury-Venus sextile, it does not go exact until Wednesday. Over the last week, since Venus and Mercury went into and started their sextile energy, there has been this ambition, there has been this idea, there has been this motivation in the energy, the ability to start to get something to progress forward. We felt like we can take certain steps forward, but we're kind of doing it blindly. Again, we're going into uncharted territory. When the moon hits that conjunction to Mercury and the sextile to Venus, it's confirming something. It's confirming an idea. It's confirming a communication. It's confirming an appointment. It's confirming, for a lot of people, it's the arrival. What I was saying about with Monday evening, whenever the moon hit that square to Saturn, I'm like, for some people, this is a reminder. Oh, hey, somebody's going to be here tomorrow. Something's going on tomorrow. We have something booked tomorrow. This is tomorrow. This is tomorrow. Now, the sun is still in its opposition to Uranus, so there can be some excitement in the air. There can be some unexpected things in the air. If you're going into uncharted territory, you're having a repair person come to your house and you're not used to being the one taking care of the repairs. You're having the nursing staff come to the house for the first time and you're not used to dealing with that because, again, we started with last week a Mercury square to Saturn, and then last night, as in Monday night, going into Tuesday, we had a moon square to Saturn. There can be something with the elders. The nurse is coming in for the first time. Again, it's kind of exciting because we don't know who's coming in the door. We don't know what to expect. We don't know if we want to chase the cat. But at the same time, there is an arrival. There is a meeting. And if we can keep our energies focused beyond just the meeting, then we have the ability to do some things that are going to be very, very productive. Whatever the meeting is for us in our individual lives, whenever the Moon-Mercury conjunction happens, this is meant to be helpful. This is meant to be hopeful. This is meant to be boastful. This is meant to be reassuring. And it is letting us know a trajectory. It's almost like you get those phrases of motivation. You talk to somebody and they say something that they confirm something for you in that moment that you didn't even realize you needed confirmed. But once you have that conversation, once you hear that statement, you're like, oh, well, I feel so much better now that this has happened. I feel so much better now that they've come. I feel so much better now that this is fixed. I feel so much better now that this has been delivered. Like you just feel better once it's done. This is that. It's not heavy. Now, the sun's opposition to Uranus is meant to shed light in a lot of ways. The moon's conjunction to Mercury is confirming some things, confirming some documentation, confirming an appointment, confirming things that have already been written out and worked through. For some people, it's going to have a monetary aspect. Mercury and Venus in their sextile, there can be something monetary to it. So it's like, we got the bill last week, but now we got to pay for it. We paid for something last week, and now we've got the package. Just using that as an example again, mundane stuff. You bought your reading last week, and now you got your link. Like this is like we're in a motivational, confirming type energy. Again, not meant to be heavy. I like Tuesday. Now, after the moon's conjunction to Mercury and the sextile with Venus, we don't have a whole lot going on moon-wise. So there's not a lot of like bouncing around. Monday was far busier with the moon compared to Tuesday. So again, once we get through the excitement, once we get through the early morning, once we get through the first appointments of the day, our ability to finally get some things accomplished, feeling good about what we're working on, feeling good about what we're doing, that kind of takes over. Now, if you live off those good feelings, then this is a distracted energy. This turns into something else, but it doesn't have to be. It's not meant to be distracting. It's meant to be helpful. It's meant to be boastful. I like the moon in Sag. Some people are going to be a little bit more poppy now that the moon is in Sag, but it's really not meant to be. Now, again, not a whole lot going on after the early morning parts of Tuesday. We start to get into Wednesday, so we're getting into the 15th. And we'll get to the early morning part, and I'm going to leave us alone for a minute. Between 6:37 a.m. Central Standard Time and 7:26 a.m. Central Standard Time, this is when Venus and Mercury have their sextile. So you can see this right here at 6:30 a.m. They're in their exact sextile. Oh, I meant to write 6:27. Haha, dusty. So between 6:27 and 7:26 a.m., that's not even a joke, it's an hour long, this is when it is the most exact. Now, I like this energy, and I'm going to remind everybody that this energy is going to continue even after the exact, but what happens when we hit the exact is that something hits a new level. It hits a new height. It hits a new energy. And we'll be in the energy all day on Wednesday. But there's something that's meant to be very confirming. So we've been announcing something, balancing something out, working through something all since Venus has gone into Libra, because Venus is in a reset in her energy. But in her reset, it's like she's been planting the seeds, leading Mercury along. Like, okay, I did this over here, so I want you to go check that out. I put this over here for you. I want you to go check that out. I did this. And now Mercury is getting a feel for everything, going, oh, you do X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3. Like, this is your method. This is your plan. This is the action. This is how it always goes. Now I get it. I don't need you to keep planting the seeds for me. I don't need you to keep putting the task list together for me. I can figure it out on my own. But I'm not meaning this in the negative sense. I don't mean this in like the combative sense. In some ways, after the Mercury Venus sextile, Mercury just goes off on his own. And for the first little while, it's not going to be that big of a deal. But as the month progresses, there will be some mistakes that get made. Anything up until this point, I don't feel like there's been mistakes. It is after Wednesday that we can start to find, that's when we can start to make mistakes. But the thing is, I don't feel like we're going to know the mistakes that we made until we get into December. So understand that any of these hopeful, boastful ideas and actions and promises that we're making all through the month, we don't know what we've uncovered. We don't know what has been completely unveiled. We don't know the full extent of everything until things have to come back around later. Now, this goes the most exact early in the morning. So it was a good hour, 6:27 a.m. to 7:26 a.m. Central Standard Time. The moon is still in Sag and will be in Sagittarius all day. We are feeling more and more drive and determination with the sun and Mars. So whenever Venus hits this sextile to Mercury, it's going to be like somebody figuring something out, and it's just like, yeah, girl, I got this. We're on the same team. We're on the same level. I can do what you need me to do. It's not a problem. And it's going to be something that can boost a lot of confidence. We're feeling something fall into place. But just as much as that, Mercury in Sag isn't necessarily thinking clearly. Somebody's getting tired of the training. They're tired of Venus going, do this, do this, do this, do this, and be like, nah, just let me go on my own. And again, letting you go on your own is opening you up for mistakes. I understand your will and your determination and your drive, but understand, some of us are going to mess up. It's the human effect. Now, when we get into the afternoon, I'm going to get this to about 5:30-ish. Yes. Between 4 and 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, the moon, still in Jupiter's sign, still in Sagittarius, is going to enter a square with Neptune. So for those that are listening to audio only, I've got this on November 15th. The moon is at 25 degrees, 19 minutes. It is just past its square with Neptune at 25 degrees and 0 minutes. Venus and Mercury are still within their sextile, and both of them are what's called in conjunct Jupiter. They're not seeing Jupiter. Jupiter can't see them. But there are layers to this because Mercury is in Jupiter's sign. Jupiter is in Venus's sign, and Venus is going through a reset. So a lot of where our energy is right now, whenever it comes to the mental level of us going into uncharted territory, us going into these new places, sometimes when you start a new job or you go to a new school or you go to a new place, like, you don't show your personality from the beginning. You don't. You yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. You're like very concise in what you say. And you're not quick to like blurt something out because you don't want to be seen like a dumbass and you don't want to be seen like an asshole. Parts of where we're at in this part of the day, there's a bit of a mask. We don't necessarily know if we're okay to say certain things because we don't know the sensitivity level of another person. We know that sometimes we sound like an asshole. And we're not necessarily sure that we want everybody to know quite yet that we're an asshole. There can be elements of that as the day progresses. But in other ways, it's not about that. It's about the inspiration. It's going someplace we've never been before because, again, uncharted territory. It's talking with somebody we've never met with before. It's discussing things, and we're looking at something that is meant to inspire. The moon is in the square to Neptune, but simultaneously, As the day progresses of Wednesday, getting into this evening part, we have Mars entering a trine with Neptune. Mars is in the higher authority, the moon is in the higher authority. We have a certain action that we want to take, but we don't necessarily know exactly how it's going to be received, how it's going to be understood. We have something that we want to reveal, that we want to debut, that we're still questioning how it's going to be accepted. The moon and Neptune are both in Jupiter signs. In a lot of ways, we have to have trust. We have to have trust that something is going to be accepted. We have to have trust that something is going to go well. We have to trust that somebody knows how to do something that we don't know how to do. Some of us are being very compelled to reveal something. And we're wanting to sit down with the boss, and we have this great presentation. We have all these things lined out, and we're working through it. And the thing is like we're trying to tell somebody about something that they have no clue about. Because again, Jupiter cannot see Venus and Mercury. However, based off of the hosting in the energy, there's belief. Look, I've heard your presentation. I've heard everything you got to say, and I don't understand a word of it. Don't say crypto to me one more time. Because I'm never going to understand it. But I understand you. I believe you. I respect you, and I can see that you are serious. I can see that you are motivated. I can see that you mean to do well, that this is going to be important for you. I can see one element, even though I can't see all of it. And we can have these moments of blind trust, blind respect. It's not that they don't care. It's not that they won't learn. It's just in that moment, they don't know. Now, some people are going to hear certain things and they're never going to agree because they're never going to open their mind to anything. But having both Mercury and the moon in Jupiter signs, the way that we have them, and we have this unveiling energy of the sun and Mars coming together, a lot of people are going to expect the unexpected, and they're going to be okay with the uncharted territory. They're going to be okay with going into something they've never dealt with before, of opening up to someone they've never opened up to before. They're going to be willing to do things that they would not normally do. Opening up that pocketbook, opening up that wallet, recognizing the passion and the desire in another person, investing in them, supporting them. There's a lot of support, blind support, as we get through Wednesday. And I'm really hopeful for this day. And I'm really interested to see how it's going to play out for a lot of people. Because I feel like as this reset, rebalancing energy starts to come through, the support and the waves that come from it are going to really speak volumes to what it comes through in the Mars rebirth. So, I like the energy to Wednesday. I feel like a lot of us are getting prepared for something that we're going to be talking about, debuting. There's recognition in the air. There's a lot of fun energy. Now, after the moon square with Neptune, the moon's going to go void. So in some ways, with just going off the moon square to Neptune, this is going to be like feeling inspired, feeling hopeful, taking an action, but we have some part of it is not completely understood. So we're either blind trust in a good way or blind trust in a bad way. And whether it's good or bad, we are not going to know for quite some time. Specifically, I don't feel like we're fully going to be aware until we get into parts of December. Some of us January, more of us December. So be open-minded. Keep an open mind. Okay. After that square, the moon's going to go void. Mars is building its trine to Neptune all day Wednesday, all day Thursday. It doesn't actually perfect until Friday, but we're not there yet. As we get into Thursday at 1:42 a.m. Central Standard Time, the moon is going to go into Capricorn. So I've got it at November 16th, so we're really early Thursday morning. At 2:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, the moon, newly into Capricorn. As soon as it goes into Capricorn, it enters a sextile to Saturn. This is happening in the overnight hours, so the likelihood that all of us are going to be dealing with something in the middle of the night, I don't necessarily, we are considering how some of the rest of the day is going to go. I feel like we wake up with a whole different mindset going into Thursday. A different level of responsibility, a different level of accountability. A lot of us have an internal activation once the moon goes into Capricorn and hits that sextile to Saturn. But Saturn is also in Jupiter's sign. So in a lot of ways, whatever starts to transpire as we get into Thursday is like a continuation of the energy that unfolded the night before, of the inspiration, of feeling motivated, of having these things come to light, of having our desires coming to surface, of having the reflection and the notoriety and the accomplishments being seen in so many different ways. We have a lot of hope in the air, but once the moon goes into Capricorn, there is a seriousness involved. There's another level of responsibility. There's a different level in our focus. We feel a lot more grounded. I feel like once we get to this later part of the week, we are where I'm blind to things right now. I don't feel like I'm going to be blind come Thursday and Friday. Intuitively blind. I don't think that I'm going to be. Now, Venus and Mercury are still in their sextile, and they're going to continue to be. I feel like a lot of the conversations that kind of happened through Wednesday going into Thursday, it's like it implanted a seed. It hit those motivation buttons. It let us know things we didn't know before. It showed us, again, blind support. And once we had that support, once we had that inspiration, once we had that like follow through in the energy, our tone levels up, our mental tone, our emotional tones, the internal, external, they start to level up into something else. And this whole extra energy starts to take shape. Part of this is spoken by the fact that the moon has gone into the grounded Saturnian Capricorn earth sign that it is. But the other thing I think it has to do with is the fact that Mars is closer to the sun. Mars is in the tightness of its rebirth. Mars is getting closer with its trine to Neptune. Our passions, our desires, our drive is being inspired to take another tune. Our determination is starting to really unfold in a whole different way. In some elements of where we're going next, we're meant to not have the full understanding. There's meant to be some type of shroud, some type of clouding. If you're creating new products, humor me as I'm creating new products that you're going to sell, using this as an example, you have your Shark Tank moment, because I always like to make the Shark Tank jokes. It's not really a joke, but still, you have your Shark Tank moment. You pitch it, you get the investment, you're getting the support, you're getting the help, you're getting the aid. There's an inspiration there, but you don't know the name of every single one of your clients. You don't know who's going to be your next client, where the next deal is going to come from. You don't know every element of it, and you're not meant to know all of it. Some of us, it's going to be so much, so fast, so big, there's literally no human way to know every single name. There will be an element of where we're going next that we're not meant to see clearly until we're in that moment. And if you understand that going into this week, it's going to make it a lot easier, because the closer we get to the unexpected and the closer we get to these areas that we don't know everything, anxiety can peak up. And when we're having those anxious moments, then we can also have those physical effects to the body that I've already warned about. As the week progresses, and now we're getting into the tighter part of the week progressing, there can be physical effects to the body. And if you understand that going into this energy, then when you have those vibrational moments of you're just shaking, like, take a step back. Go get a drink. Take a breath. Put your phone down. Not helping. Do something to release that stimulation, not add to it. So put the phone down. Trust me on this. Okay. Now, the moon is going to sextile Saturn as soon as it goes in, like I said. Most of us, that's going to be an internal energy of things that we want to take care of, things that we need to know. We're going to wake up in a whole different mindset when we get into Thursday. And then we're going to get to this later part in the day. Now, this is going to happen very, very simultaneous. So I want to put it to a very specific portion of the day, and then I'm going to leave it alone. Yeah, that's where I want to be. The energy that I describe next is going to be the most exact between 4 p.m. Central Standard Time and 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm giving a big 4-hour window. Is it exact at exactly 4 and 8? No. But the human effect is, I want you to understand that there is a window here. Now, what we have is Venus is going to square the moon. Simultaneously, the moon is actually going to trine Jupiter. Now, the moon's trine to Jupiter happens first. So here's the moon at 9 degrees. Here's Jupiter at 8 degrees, 40 minutes. I have this set November 16th at 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. The trine has just perfected. Trines are triangles. They're meant to be helpful. They're meant to be cohesive. This is a solid earth-to-earth trine. We're taking a very serious tone. We've had something happen in the overnight hours that have confirmed certain motivations, and we have felt the need to do something, to start something. Simultaneous to this, the Sun and Mars are tightening their conjunction, and they're tightening their trine to Neptune. So again, a continuous energy throughout the week of things taking shape, of things coming to light, of inspirations coming together. Venus is in her own sign. She is in that square to the moon. And there is a questioning. There is a challenging. There is some element of it that doesn't have to be heavy, but it can feel heavy, especially if somebody gets the answers that they don't want to hear. And then they might feel the need to push a little bit. Like, can't you do this sooner? Can't you do this faster? Can't we meet at this time? Can't you talk right now? Can't you do this? No, because I'm booked over here. I'm already doing this over here. I'm already helping this person right now. In some ways, Venus is hosting Jupiter. Hold on. And Venus is in that square to the moon. Well, can't you tell Jupiter that I need them to do this? Can't you intervene? Can't you help a girl out? Can't you do something for me? Why do I want to do that for you? I'm already doing stuff with Jupiter. Jupiter and I were already doing things because the moon's trine with Jupiter was first. You hear some type of understanding, helpful thing, but then you get questioned in a whole other aspect, and you're like, well, since you are already doing this, can't you make Jupiter? No. Some of us were the moon. We're getting questioned. Well, can't you make Jupiter do something? I am the moon. Do you know how small I am? No, Jupiter, it's a failed star, okay? It is the largest planet in the galaxy. Nobody's making Jupiter do crap. What are you talking about, Venus? Some of us are the Venus person pushing the moon. We'll see what Jupiter says. We'll see what they do. Some of us just had to deal with some shady business the week before or the weeks before. You know how the human effect is. Sometimes we can't let go of certain things. Some of us have had shady things that have come about in the past, and we're blocked. So we're asking somebody else, can you ask so-and-so what's going on? Can you see what they say to you and let me know? They've blocked me and I have no idea what's going on, because some element of Jupiter and Venus cannot see eye to eye. Yeah. Can you? Will you? Will you help a girl out? Will you help me out? Can you do this thing? And whatever erupts from that can be quite big, considering we are so close to the Sun-Mars conjunction. For some people, it's just one extra layer and one extra element to what's already going to be revealed. It doesn't matter what we do. So some of us, we're going to get questioned. Can you see what so-and-so's doing? They're not talking to me anymore. Do you know anything about it? Do you know what's going on? No. Even if I did, I'm not going to tell you. None of your business. Stay in your lane. Anyways, this can be very entertaining energy, but this can also be very stressful energy. It kind of depends on where you're at. Some of us, we're the Jupiter person. I'm like, did you block Venus? Yes, I blocked Venus. There were 3 Venus-Jupiter squares in that Venus retrograde timeline. Yes, I blocked Venus. I am done with Venus. Okay, I'll let her know. She says she's done with you. Or Jupiter says he's done with you. Like, oh, get over it. If somebody's done with you, if you've been blocked, get over it. Some of us, we were the ones that got blocked. Oh, there can be a lot of like ping-ponging back and forth type of energy, of back and forth type of talking, or some of us were just telling another person about an event, but the person that we're telling, they don't know all the parties involved. So it's like venting to your best guy friend, knowing that he doesn't give a crap about all the other females and all of the female drama. He's just kind of going, yep, that sucks. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Yep, uh-huh. Well, wow. We've all had those conversations too. Some of us were getting the other end of a conversation, knowing that we don't know everybody involved. Some of us, we don't even care. But again, it's just one extra layer to some of the revelation and some of the things that are going to get revealed. Now, some of the revealing, that can happen at any time throughout the week, but it is the most heightened whenever we get through Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We're getting into the 17th now. I've got this just after midnight. I'm going to keep going. Where do I want to go to this one? Right here. So we're going to start here. The moon's going to be in Capricorn all day on Friday. Venus and Mercury are still in their sextile, but now Mercury has surpassed Venus, so Mercury's doing some things on his own. I've already said that. Mars will go through its exact trine with Neptune between 2:20 and 2:53 a.m. Central Standard Time. So I'm just at 2:30, it's the most exact. So here's Mars at 24 degrees and 59 minutes. It's this trine with Neptune at 24 degrees and 59 minutes. So we don't have any other aspect going on at this exact moment. For some of us, we're not sleeping very well Thursday going into Friday. We're really restless. We're trying to get something figured out. We are trying to put something in order. We are trying to create something in the energy. Some of us are being flooded by inspiration. Some of us are being flooded by the downloads. Mars in this trine with Neptune. Some of us are feeling the effect of something while Mars is in the trine to Neptune. We're feeling the effect, we're seeing the effect. It's not even feeling it. Sometimes we're seeing it. We're watching all of those counts over and over again. Like you uploaded that one TikTok and like viral overnight type thing. Like every time you open your phone, it's like 500 more views in the last 20 minutes, like this type of thing. And as it's happening, like you're feeling the effect internally, like, oh my God, heart palpitations and everything. This can be that. Now, the sun's trine with Neptune is going to be a few hours later, and it goes the most exact between 8:45 a.m. Central Standard Time and 9:08. So I've got this now at 8:30 a.m. right before it happens. Here is the sun, 24 degrees and 58 minutes in the trine to Neptune, 24 degrees and 59 minutes. I'm not going to move it by minute. It's just annoying if I do that. The sun's trine with Neptune is that extra layer. It is the next part of the effect. It is the visual part. So where there was an action with Mars, the sun is seeing the next part. There's more things coming to light. There's more things being felt. There's more things that need to be understood. Some of us are seeing the effect on the body, feeling the effect on the body, and we're looking for the solution. We're trying to troubleshoot some things. We're trying to figure some things out. There is going to be a fog of not knowing what to do next, of seeing something that we weren't anticipating, of seeing something very, very unexpected, having certain things come to light, come to the surface that, again, we were not anticipating, but once they start to take effect and once they start to do what they're meant to do, they're meant to be helpful, they're meant to be hopeful, they're meant to be inspirational, they're meant to be something that helps us in this ascension, in this rebirth type energy. Many of us have been working on things for quite some time, not knowing quite when they're going to take off and not knowing how the takeoff is going to happen. There's a takeoff to this week. There's a takeoff. There's an arrival. There's revelation. There's so much energy to this week. Now, the sun and Mars will go through that trine with Neptune. Their conjunction has not perfected yet. It does perfect, but it actually perfects around midnight. So it's going to perfect as we continue throughout the evening. But we're seeing these things unfold and we're seeing all of these unexpected things come through. And some of us were like, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh wow. What? How did this happen? What do I do next? Ooh, and there's going to be some confusion. There's going to be some cloudiness. There's going to be some haziness. There's going to be parts of this that are like, wow, shit. And then we're frozen. It's almost like we're frozen in some ways. Now, as the day progresses, the moon's still in Capricorn, it is going to hit a trine with Uranus. So here's the moon. It's just before the actual trine. So 20 degrees, 41 minutes in the trine to Uranus at 20 degrees and 53 minutes. Remember, we started this week with a new moon opposite Uranus. And I said on Monday that parts of the energy from Monday can be a direct reveal or a direct connection to the things that happened on Monday. Whatever happened on Monday can have a direct effect to Friday. Whatever happening on Friday, we probably had warnings about on Monday. This is another layer that speaks to that. Things have progressed though. So now we're much more aware. We've had something come to light. We've had something to come to the surface. And now we need to, on the internet, we're like, okay, this is the diagnosis. What does this mean? The doctors only tell you so much, so then we have to Google it. They get all mad because, don't Google all of your symptoms. Well, then be better at explaining them. I have said this to doctors before. If you would communicate better, then I wouldn't have to do that. But you guys don't communicate well, so I do what I need to do. There is an energy of something coming to light, something getting revealed, something being exposed, something coming to the surface, something that is very, very disruptive, whether it's chaotic disruption or pivotal disruption that's based off of your own individual charts in your own individual life, that requires us to immediately get additional input, look up something else, get on the internet and search some things out, talk to somebody else going, oh my God, you'll never guess what just happened. Because the moon is going to hit that trine to Uranus, and we're telling somebody else about this thing, and it's unexpected to them. They weren't expecting to see the effect. They didn't anticipate any of it. There's a huge, unexpected, cloudy, cannot be completely seen, cannot be completely understood until we're in the moment energy that is going to unfold. And it is the most heightened on Friday. The most heightened. Spiritual growth, intellectual growth, emotional growth, technological growth. There is a huge element of something that is starting, unveiling, starting, revealing, revelation. We started this week in a new moon in a conjunction to Mars, but the actual Mars rebirth perfects on Friday going into Saturday. The things that come to light, things that come to the surface, they need to have more than one layer understood. Now, in the later parts of the evening between 8 and 11:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, so I'm going to get this to, 10:30 is fine. The moon in Saturn sign, in Capricorn, is going to sextile Neptune, sextile Mars, sextile the Sun, right as the Sun and Mars are starting to hit their conjunction. Again, whatever is coming to light, whatever is coming to the surface, whatever is being revealed, whatever thing that is going on that is impacting the body, that is impacting our drive, that is impacting our desires, what is impacting our ambition, there is some element of needing to get a different understanding, of needing to dig a little bit deeper, of needing to take a certain level of responsibility and accountability, of accepting transformation and accepting change. Now, while the moon is in this area, it is also squaring the nodes. Fate, fated energy. Anytime you have a planet that squares the node, whatever the planet is, or in this regard, it's the moon. In this regard, it's the moon. But remember, Pluto earlier this summer did a month-long square to those nodes. And every time the moon has been in this area of Capricorn, the moon in those sextiles to Neptune, in that conjunction building with Pluto, we have certain things that are falling into place, that it is time for a certain energy to fall into place. This is speaking into that. But not only is the moon squaring the nodes, but the moon is also making an aspect to that Mars rebirth. And it is connecting the Mars rebirth to the North Node. There are things that are coming to light this week that speak directly to where we're going to see gains, where our trajectory of where we go next, going into 2024. And energetically, throughout the evening, the moon in this area of the sky is making us put focus onto that. It is making us see this type of thing. And then after this is done, the Sun and Mars will actually hit their exact conjunction. This goes the most exact between 11:02 p.m. Central Standard Time and 12:32 a.m. going into Saturday. So I have this at 11:30 p.m. Friday evening. I bump it 1 hour. We get into Monday, and we still have the Sun and Mars in their conjunction going into the next day. We have a continuous flow of energy throughout the week. And as the Sun and Mars are hitting their conjunction, we get into the early parts of Saturday. So some of us, we're going to be up late on Friday. We're going to be up late on Friday. As the Sun and Mars are going through this conjunction, the Moon will make a conjunction to Pluto. Pluto, the modern ruler of Scorpio, where the Sun-Mars conjunction is happening. There is a meeting, there is an acceptance, there is seeing a transformation, there is an acceptance of transformation, but for some people, there's also an acceptance of fear. If something big is unfolding out throughout this week and it's shaking you to your core, you either have to accept what is becoming unveiled or you try to reject it. Some people will try to reject it. They will be flooded with a feeling of fear with the Moon's conjunction to Pluto. A fear of inadequacy, a fear that something isn't right, a fear that something is not what it's supposed to be. And that's a huge possibility as we go through the overnight hours of Friday into Saturday. If you get swept up by fear, don't lean into it. Go for a walk. Go smoke something. Go get a drink, whatever your drink is. Water to something else. Whatever is necessary to get over that fear, do so. It will be hard to sleep. I can see that right now. For a lot of people, Friday night's going to be a late night. I don't like it if you're the type of person that you like to go out every single Friday evening. I don't like that one at all. Because this is one of those evenings that if you do have a drink, you can get caught drinking and driving. So I don't like that. And again, that can play into the fear aspect. But whatever is starting to take shape will quickly be something that is being spoken about as we get into the deeper parts of Saturday. Now, after the Moon's conjunction to Pluto, the Moon's going to go void. That's okay. At 5:28 a.m. Central Standard Time, the Moon is going to go into Aquarius. So I've got this at November 18th at 5:30 a.m. It's just afterwards. Here's the Moon, 0 degrees. It's in Aquarius. It's in Saturn's other sign. And again, the Sun and Mars are still in their conjunction. Venus and Mercury are still in their sextile. The Sun and Mars are still in a trine to Neptune. We are in a continuous flow of energy. Now, once the Moon goes into Aquarius, there's going to be a lot more activity, mental activity, audible activity. There's going to be a lot of things being talked about, a lot of things being voiced. We're going to be talking about a lot of things. We are in the process of revealing things. And once we make some type of debut, once the announcement happens, once the TikTok viral situation occurs, chatter. A lot of Saturday is a carryover from Friday with more chatter and more noise and more talking. Talk. Mentally busy, emotionally busy, feeling so much drive and so much determination, feeling that something has changed within us. There is a huge energy at play here. Now, after the Moon goes into Aquarius, it's not really doing anything until we get into the evening time. And that's going to be specific between 7 and 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I've got the screen November 18th, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Here is the Moon in Aquarius, and it goes into a square with Jupiter. The Sun and Mars are still in a conjunction. Mercury is in Jupiter's sign. Venus is still in that sextile with Mercury. In some ways, we have a questioning of Jupiter here. We're pushing Jupiter. We're trying to do something. We want something out of Jupiter. We have a hope for Jupiter that something can turn around. Questioning, a determination, feedback in a lot of ways. We're getting feedback. We're hearing the feedback. Shortly after the moon square with Jupiter, the moon will aspect both Mercury and Venus. So parts of the questioning right here might just be one element to things that are going to continue to progress over the weekend, because we are in this continuous flow of energy. So again, there can be a questioning. I don't mind the moon square to Jupiter. It really doesn't feel heavy. It feels like the questioning is about what's gone on recently, what's been unveiled recently, where again, it's answering more questions of a lot of what has already been going on, where we've got a busyness at play. Some of us are talking about the things that have just been unveiled, and we're expressing certain things to Jupiter, and we're coming to terms with certain things with Jupiter, where we're bringing them into the loop, so to speak. Now, after the moon square with Jupiter, ain't got a lot going on. There's really not on Saturday. And even with going into Sunday, it's not going to be crazy. It's really not. The moon's going to be Aquarius all day on Sunday in the early morning hours between 1 and 3 a.m. Central Standard Time. The moon at 12 degrees is going to go into a trine with Venus. So we have Venus 12 degrees 10 minutes in Libra. This is at November 19th at 2:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Venus is going to trine the moon. There's an idea, there are conversations, there's a hope, there is a desire, there is an intellect, there is a back and forth, there is a camaraderie, there is a lot of idea type energy. The Sun and Mars we're still going through our conjunctions energy. We're still in this reveal type energy. We're still unveiling something. Something is still in the process of being found. And this is another element of the items that is being found, that is being understood. Venus and Mercury are still in their sextiles, so we can have a continuation of things that have already occurred from the weekend. Shortly after Venus's trine with the moon, Mercury will sextile the moon. This actually goes the most exact between 3:30 and 5:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. So now I've got it at 4:30. Here's Mercury and the moon. A lot of this energy here between Mercury, Venus, and the moon feels like a continuation of the flow of energy that's already occurred. So this feels like a continuation of some of the things that happened on Tuesday and Wednesday. But again, since unveiling certain other things, since more things have come to light, since more things have been understood, since more responsibilities have been accepted. Now, this is all happening in the overnight hours. So some of us are going to deal with the human effect. This is all going to play out in the night before, whenever the moon square Jupiter hits. We're just going to be in a troubleshooting, back and forth intellectual conversation late into Saturday evening. Some of us are going to wake up early on Sunday mentally knowing that we need to work through some things. Some of us, we got questions the night before and it took us all night to really think things through so we could get an answer, so we can troubleshoot something, so we could figure something out. The Sun's conjunction of Mars, still going strong all day. We're going to be in this energy for quite some time, this rebirth energy. As the day progresses, we're going to, again, we're busy, mentally aware of a lot of things, trying to put some things in order, wanting to talk more. We're hearing other people talk more about things. There's just a lot of awareness. Between 4 and 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, so I've got this still on Sunday, we're at 4:30 p.m. And this is kind of our last transit of the week. The moon in Aquarius, in Uranus's sign, is going to square Uranus. Have you ever dealt with any of this before? Oh, yeah. I remember when so-and-so got diagnosed with this. I remember when so-and-so started working there. I remember this. I remember that. There's some recollection of something from the past. Finding somebody that has experienced this situation. Sometimes you have a situation, so you post online, you're like, who do I know has been to this place? Who do I know on Facebook that is a plumber? Who do I know? that does these certain things. And we finally get back, we hear back from somebody, we start talking to somebody that has been in this situation before. This is that. The moon is in the square to Uranus, but the moon is in Uranus' sign. So it's like, oh yeah, I know exactly where you've been before. I know exactly what you're dealing with. I've had that situation with my Jeep. I've had that situation with a doctor before. I've been to that place before. I've been to that hospital. I've worked at that company. I know somebody that's worked in that company. And it's like putting something into play of understanding where somebody else is coming from, because the moon is in a square to Uranus. I like this energy. And I think this is a good way to end the week, because after the moon square with Uranus, like, there's nothing else going on Sunday. The rest of it's taking us into Monday. However, as we do that, I will just to show it a little bit later, the moon will square the sun and Mars, but this doesn't technically happen on Sunday. It happens in the overnight hours of Sunday into Monday. So some element of what we're dealing with whenever the sun is in that square with Uranus can also be a heightened energy, because shortly after that, we do go into the quarter moon, and that quarter moon is going to perfect overnight, Sunday into Monday. So it feels to me like the moon, whenever it's in that square to Uranus, that's helpful, because it's getting insight from somebody else that's already dealt with a certain situation before. Of course, when everything starts to work, the light is hitting like the worst time of day. So that's fun. Anyways, I take this off this part of the screen. Okay. You just got to deal with the light. Oh. Once we get to the end of the week, whatever's coming to light, whatever's coming to the surface, whatever needs to be understood, we will understand something. We will know something. But the big portion of this week is a progression of trying to find an understanding, of waiting for something to be revealed, of waiting for something to come to light, of waiting, of going through the motions of discovery, of going through the motions of understanding, of trying to get to the next level of something, but not actually getting there anytime soon. That can be frustrating for some people. And waiting for something to finally happen, the more and more we are waiting, the more frustrated we can feel. And there can be waves of anxiousness and anxiety that take shape all throughout the week. But a lot of that's going to be based off of the sun and Mars. The closer these two planets come to one another, the more angst and anxiety, the more frustration can build. Especially if you don't have a positive way for this energy to take shape. For some of us, we are putting our energy into something healthy, and we are trying to build something up, and we're waiting for a reveal or a revelation. We're waiting for something to be seen or discovered. We're waiting for our Shark Tank moment. Come on, Friday. Friday, Friday, Friday. And once we get through this week, the arrival, the revelation, the accreditation, because some people, once the sun and Mars come into a conjunction, it's going to be an energy of recognition and awarding. Once all of these things really start to fall into place, once whatever needs to be revealed comes to light, it lets us know where the shaping of things flow next. It makes us aware of where we need to shift our focus, or how our focus needs to be fitted, altered, tightened. I'm trying to think. Was it the kaleidoscope? Like you would turn the thing. I know this is probably making a very inappropriate hand gesture that everybody's going to be laughing at later. But you would turn the little thing whenever you're looking through the scope, and as you're turning it, like the picture's changing. I think it's called a kaleidoscope. I haven't played with one of those in a very long time. We're waiting for the right shape to fall into place. We're adjusting the lens, trying to get it to sharpen. Everything is blurry. We don't quite know where we're going next, but we feel like we're on the verge of something happening. We feel like we're on the cusp of something about to hit. And if you understand that going into this week, understand that some of what comes to light and some of what gets revealed and some of what comes through in this awakening level of energy is going to shed light on a trajectory that's going to take the next 2 years to fully understand. It sheds light on where we're going to start to show and have gains moving into 2024. I've said this for a while now. The whole last part of 2023 is trying to find the strategy of where we go next. It's putting some things in order. It's putting some things in motion, putting some things in place. But we don't fully know when the game's going to start. We don't necessarily know the game that's being played. We don't have all of the tools. We learn a lot this week. We have a lot of things that are meant to unveil this week. I'm going to do a new moon episode. And when I do the new moon episode, I will put a little bit more emphasis of where that Mars rebirth is going to happen for each sign in the ascendant. So it'll be new moon and Mars rebirth. And then there's probably still going to be a meditative rant video on top of that because this Mars rebirth is happening on an eclipse point and I can't ignore that. So I'll have to do something separate for that as well. So I love and appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the patience. I will talk to everybody very, very soon. Subscribe.